For over 3,000 years, the tombs of Egypt's ancient kings lay buried beneath the sands, sealed by stone and time. But when modern explorers disturbed the eternal slumber of these rulers, they awakened more than history. They awakened a curse, or so the legend goes. The idea of a curse, mysterious, invisible, deadly, has haunted mankind for centuries. In ancient Egypt, tombs were sacred sanctuaries, not only for the dead but for the gods themselves. To violate them was to invite divine retribution. But did the ancient Egyptians truly believe in curses, or are these simply stories born of superstition and fear? As for all men who shall enter this my tomb, impure, I shall seize his neck like a bird. I shall cast the fear of myself into him. Inscription from the tomb of Khenteka-Ikaki, 6th dynasty. Indeed, some tombs, particularly private ones from the Old Kingdom, contain warnings, threats, and invocations of divine punishment. Yet these were rare, more often aimed at careless priests than robbers. In a culture where desecration was unthinkable, even writing about it was dangerous. Fast forward to the early 20th century. 1922, Valley of the Kings. British archaeologist Howard Carter, funded by Lord Carnarvon, makes the discovery of a lifetime: the untouched tomb of the boy king Tutankhamun. As the door was breached, the modern world was captivated. Gold artifacts, chariots, thrones, and something more, something darker. Weeks later, Lord Carnarvon was dead. A mosquito bite, a razor cut, an infection. Coincidence? Or was the curse of the pharaoh real? Carnarvon's death was only the beginning. George J. Gould, fever after visiting the tomb. Dead radiologist Sir Archibald Douglas Reed died months after X-raying the mummy. Carter's secretary, Captain Bethel, mysteriously found smothered in a London club. Even Carnarvon's half-brother died of malarial pneumonia. Were these coincidences, or victims of an ancient vengeance? The press was ravenous. Headlines screamed of the curse of the mummy. Spiritualists, including Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, claimed ancient priests had summoned elemental forces to guard the tomb. But was there ever a curse? Was anything written inside the tomb? No. Despite popular belief, there was no inscription warning of death, no hieroglyph carved with threats. So where did the legend come from? The first recorded curse can be traced back to Napoleon Bonaparte's invasion of Egypt in 1798. The French were accompanied by scholars eager to study the antiquities. Among them was a man who would change history forever. Napoleon's military campaign was going poorly. Desperate for good fortune, he turned to the supernatural. Enter Giovanni Battista Belzoni, an Italian adventurer and pioneer of Egyptology. Belzoni became the first European to explore the Great Pyramid and unearthed several colossal statues, including one of Ramses, the pigeon-headed god. Belzoni claimed that upon discovering the statue, he felt a sudden chill and experienced alarming visions. Terrified, he fled, leaving the statue undisturbed. He believed that doing otherwise would unleash the deity's wrath, but Belzoni was just getting started. Over the next decade, he opened numerous tombs, one of which belonged to the infamous Queen Nefertiti. According to legend, she was the wife of Akhenaten and mother of Tutankhamun, who vanished without a trace. Belzoni discovered her tomb and allegedly found a curse. The curse of the beautiful one. Cursed be every man who enters this sepulchre and moves the body of the beautiful one. So long as he is mortal, so long shall he suffer and find no rest. And when his days are ended, he shall join us in the darkness. With this newfound peril hanging over him, Belzoni decided against disturbing the queen's remains. Of course, he didn't know that Nefertiti's tomb would remain untouched for another 100 years. But what if Belzoni was onto something? What if the tombs of the pharaohs were truly cursed? Was there evidence hidden in plain sight? This is a special episode, The Curse of the Pharaohs, Myth, Mystery and Modern Science. Some have questioned whether ancient Egyptian rulers really believed in curses. After all, their civilization thrived through observation and reason. But curses were part of a broader system of beliefs designed to protect society from chaos. The Egyptians believed the world was governed by Mat, a concept that encompassed truth, justice, order, and cosmic harmony. It was personified by a goddess, depicted as a woman holding a feather in one hand and an ankh, the symbol of life, in the other. When Mat was threatened, curses could be used to restore balance. One example is the so-called coffin texts, a collection of funerary texts inscribed inside coffins during the 5th and 6th dynasties. These texts weren't just about guiding the deceased through the afterlife, they were also about warding off evil spirits and curses. One passage reads, "He who recites this spell will be protected from black magic, sorcery, and evil eye." The Egyptians weren't alone in their beliefs. Curses and protective magic were common in many cultures. The Babylonians had their incantations, the Greeks their curses, and the Romans their protective amulets. But no ancient culture approached curses with the same level of detail and sophistication as the Egyptians. Their magical practices were not confined to tombs. They permeated daily life. If someone felt wronged, they could place a curse on their neighbor. Just as a parent might warn their child, "Don't make me cross, I'll curse you." In such cases, the curse wasn't meant to be taken literally. It was a way of conveying just how angry one could become. However, if someone died unexpectedly, suspicion would fall on the last person to curse them. Murder investigations often began with an inquiry into recent curses. Sometimes the accused would even confess to cursing the victim, claiming it was done out of anger, not malice. When the young pharaoh Tutankhamun died at the age of 19, his successor, King I, became the target of suspicion. His own daughter, Princess Saita, accused him of murdering Tutankhamun and stealing his throne. She hurled curses at King Ayad, demanding that he be punished in the afterlife. But while accusations flew, there was no physical evidence to link King I to Tutankhamun's death. The case was eventually dismissed, and I enjoyed the remainder of his reign in peace. But the story highlights the importance of curses in ancient Egyptian society. People cursed for various reasons, from personal gain to revenge. The most common motive was to protect oneself. People would place curses on others to ensure their own safety and well-being. In fact, protective magic was so widespread that many homes featured charms, amulets, and engraved stones designed to ward off evil. Priests also played a key role in combating curses. They conducted rituals, gave blessings, and provided individuals with magical objects to keep them safe from harm. But why were the Egyptians so concerned about curses? The answer lies in their unique view of the afterlife. The Egyptians believed that when a person died, their soul went through a complex journey. The heart was weighed against the feather of truth, and if found pure, the individual was allowed to enter the field of reeds, a paradise-like afterlife. But if the heart was impure, it was devoured by a monster named Amit, dooming the soul to non-existence. To avoid such a fate, Egyptians took great care to prepare for death. Tombs were filled with provisions and treasures. Funerary texts were placed inside coffins to guide the dead, and even pets were mummified and sent along to keep their owners company. This intricate process of preparing for the afterlife shows just how important it was to the Egyptians, and it also reveals the stakes involved in being cursed. If a curse caused someone to die, their chances of reaching the field of reeds would diminish significantly. Therefore, the threat of a curse could very well be a matter of life and death. Now let's get back to our story. Tutankhamun's untimely demise left the kingdom in chaos. Many nobles saw an opportunity to seize power. One of them was Ankhesenamun, the pharaoh's widow. Determined to protect her late husband's legacy, she turned to the oracles for guidance. In a desperate attempt to discover the cause of Tutankhamun's death, she consulted a diviner named Aden, who delivered a chilling prophecy. Aden warned that a malevolent spirit had been unleashed from the tomb and was causing harm. He blamed the doctors for disturbing the pharaoh's eternal slumber. But Aden's advice only deepened the mystery. Who exactly was behind the curse, and why were certain people being targeted? The truth is, nobody knows for sure. Ancient Egypt was a time of great scientific advancement. The Egyptians kept meticulous records of celestial movements, developed advanced mathematics, and even performed complex surgeries. Yet they also believed in curses, ghosts, and magic. It seems the ancient Egyptians weren't immune to the allure of the unknown. In their quest to understand the complexities of life and death, they created a rich tapestry of beliefs and rituals. And at the center of this tapestry were the curses, powerful pronouncements designed to shape the course of human destiny. We may never know the full extent of the curses that plagued the pharaohs, but we can appreciate their impact on the ancient world. These enigmatic curses offer a glimpse into the minds of a civilization that straddled the realms of science and superstition. The year is 1922. The place, the Valley of the Kings in Egypt. British archaeologist Howard Carter is crawling through a narrow passageway, headlamp cutting into the dust, searching for something, anything, to reveal the secrets of the lost pharaohs. And then he sees it, an inscription, the name Tutankhamun. Excitedly, he traces it with his fingers, revealing a doorway leading to a treasure trove of artifacts, including a golden burial mask, and inside the mask, a face, still somehow serene after 3,000 years. After decades of fruitless digging, Carter thinks he may finally have found the tomb of the infamous Boy King, but one look around is enough to tell him this is no ordinary find. Walls intricately decorated with images of the Egyptian underworld, an array of treasures so valuable that thieves would kill for them, and a third, a coffin made of red granite, a symbol of ultimate wealth and power. Could this really be the resting place of Tutankhamun? What secrets lie hidden inside? In truth, the mummy's curse predates Tutankhamun's discovery. Nearly a century before Carter's excavation, in 1827, Jane C. Loudon published The Mummy, a tale of the 22nd century, mixing horror with science fiction. Soon mummy stories were everywhere, ghost tales, cautionary tales, even proto-feminist metaphors where violated female mummies took revenge. Writers like Louisa May Alcott and Jane G. Austen shaped the genre with stories of desecrated tombs and deadly payback. But make no mistake, these weren't archaeologists. They were fiction authors, driven by metaphor and myth. Nonetheless, the idea of a mummy's curse caught on, growing steadily in popularity until one day it seemed like everybody believed in it, or at least suspected it. Then came the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb in November of 1922. The media went wild. Headlines blared from London to New York, announcing the discovery of the century. Some warned of a curse, others dismissed it as nonsense. Perhaps because everyone loves a good mystery, everyone wants to believe in the supernatural, or perhaps because of the countless legends surrounding the Valley of the Kings, home to the Pharaohs' final resting places for hundreds of years. As everyone knows, disturbing an ancient burial is a dangerous business. If you don't believe me, just ask Hollywood. Since 1932, the mummy has been one of the most enduring villains in cinema history. Boris Karloff brought the character to life in Universal's original film series. Then in the 80s and 90s, Brendan Fraser took over the role. The mummy became an icon of pop culture horror, forever cementing the idea of a mummy's curse in popular imagination. But let's step back from the blockbuster madness for a moment and consider the real story. In the days following the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb, experts were eager to analyze their findings. But while Carter continued excavating, others sought to understand the potential threat posed by a possible mummy's curse. There were dangers, they said, invisible spores, ancient toxins, who knows what horrors might be hiding inside a tomb. For some, this was more than a hunch, it was science. Some scientists proposed biological explanations: spores, mold, bacteria sealed in tombs for millennia. One suspect, Aspergillus flavus, a toxic fungus known to attack the lungs and nervous system. Others blamed ancient radiation or even arsenic-based preservation methods. But studies failed to link any of these to the symptoms attributed to a mummy's curse, which varied wildly from headaches to heart attacks. And the supposed victims included one person who wouldn't shut up about the curse: Lord Carnarvon, the nobleman who funded Carter's excavations. He was already in poor health when he arrived in Egypt and suffered from a chronic lung condition. The radiologist who discovered his fatal cancer had worked at the tomb site, and Howard Carter himself returned to England after spending more time in the tomb than anyone else and lived another 16 years. So if there was a curse, why did it spare some and take others? Or was it just a coincidence that some people died and others didn't? Many scientists dismissed the whole thing as superstition, but that didn't stop everyone from being afraid. The truth was, nobody knew what to think. There were other problems. As one team unearthed artifacts, another struggled to get in. The entrance to the tomb was sealed, forcing them to dig a new one. To this day, no one knows what happened to the original entrance, though theories abound. Did Carter seal it himself to protect future visitors from harm? Was it intentionally concealed by the ancient Egyptians? Or did time simply erase it? But as soon as they were inside, strange things began happening. First, the lights flickered and died, plunging the tomb into darkness. Then the air grew uncomfortably cold, sending shivers down their spines. Suddenly, a blood-curdling hiss echoed through the chamber, followed by the sound of movement. Someone or something was loose inside the tomb. When the lights returned and explorers ventured deeper into the burial chambers, they found footprints in the sand. But who could have made them? The tomb had been sealed for centuries. Whatever had made those prints was nowhere to be seen. Was it the ghost of Tutankhamun himself? A manifestation of the evil spirits haunting these sacred grounds? The team couldn't say for sure, but one thing was certain: they weren't alone. Whatever was lurking in the shadows watched them closely, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Before long, the explorers began experiencing strange illnesses. One member developed a mysterious rash that covered his entire body. Another suffered from debilitating stomach pains that put him in the hospital. Yet another felt the grip of a terrifying paralysis that threatened to end his life. The team was shaken to its core. Was this really the work of the vengeful spirits or mere coincidence? They couldn't be sure, but the rumors were spreading fast, and soon everyone was talking about the terrifying events at the tomb. As time passed, more and more explorers stepped foot inside, and more people fell victim to the curse. Some recovered, but others didn't. Each new story added fuel to the fire, deepening the mystery and solidifying the reputation of the tomb as a haunted house. But what do we know for sure? Of the 58 people present when Tutankhamun's tomb was opened, only 8 died within a dozen years. The rest, including Lady Evelyn Herbert and Howard Carter himself, lived long, ordinary lives. So was there really a curse? Well, the answer isn't so simple. On one hand, there's the scientific explanation. A tomb is a sealed environment containing thousands of years' worth of debris, bacteria, fungi, and whatever else happens to crawl in over the centuries. When disturbed, that stuff gets released into the air, creating a cloud of potentially toxic particles. The symptoms attributed to the mummy's curse, headaches, respiratory issues, skin conditions, even paralysis, could all be explained by exposure to such a cloud. On the other hand, there are the stories. People like Lord Carnarvon were already sick when they entered the tomb, yet their conditions worsened dramatically afterwards. Coincidence? Maybe. But there are other possibilities. Perhaps the stories are true, but not in the way we think. What if there's no curse at all? What if there's only fear? Fear of the unknown, fear of stealing from the dead, and fear of unleashing something best left buried. When we disturb a tomb, we're intruding on a space meant to be sacred, taking artifacts meant to be preserved and studying remains meant to be at peace. Whether or not there's a curse, whether or not there's a malevolent spirit haunting the corridors, we can't help but feel uneasy. It's hard not to be affected by the sheer history surrounding us, by the knowledge that what we're seeing has remained unchanged for thousands of years. Then again, maybe there is a curse, but it's not in the tomb. Maybe it's in the stories we tell ourselves about the past. Stories that shape our understanding of the world and the consequences of our actions. The past is often romanticized, seen as a simpler time before modern problems and conveniences. But what if that's not true? What if the past has something to teach us? If the stories of the mummy's curse teach us anything, it's that the past can be dangerous. It's important to remember that what we find in the past isn't just old stuff. It's part of our shared history. We should approach it with respect and caution, lest we disturb something best left undisturbed. I'm here with Minotaur, and remember, if you love digging into the past, there's a lot more where that came from. Just follow the trail of footprints through the shifting sands of time and you'll find it.